Hey, everybody. It is NBA Finals Day, national holiday. And so, of course, we got to get some people together to talk about it. We got D Nice with us. What's going on tonight, man?
What's going on, man? Happy to be here. It is a national holiday, right?
It is, absolutely. And we're going to celebrate it. And then Pig's back with us. How's it going on the West Coast?
Doing good, doing good. Thanks for having me once again. Always my honor to join you, fellas.
Dude, it's always fun. I did have to bust out the hat of next year's NBA champion tonight. Just, I figured.
A little foreshadowing.
Yeah, something like that.
2023 foreshadowing. I mean, hey, they got further than I expected, so
Me
I
too,
think that's
me
a
too.
reason enough to wear the hat, right?
We might be able to pull off a 7 seed next year or something.
Are you as dedicated as the Boston Celtics fan that got the tattoo 2020? Are you that dedicated?
I'm not nearly that dedicated. I will
Okay.
use a Sharpie and draw that somewhere where people can't see, but that's about as far as I'm going.
It's a bold move to do that.
Yep, totally. That was bold. So, all right. So, hey, we're gonna rock through some stuff here. We are gonna get to series bets and then bets for game one. Also, I am gonna attempt to put any bets that we really like on the ticker at the bottom as we get to them. So those will be up for you, and I'll try to tweet something after as well. But we're gonna kick this off by just real quick talking about the conference finals: Golden State, Dallas, and Miami, Boston. Just if there are any takeaways from those series, especially if you feel like they're pertinent to this one, I'll say one for me that is big, and this isn't a shocker, but I really do think the injury status for Marcus Smart and Robert Williams is a big deal. Robert Williams' presence in the paint, and in that game 7, man, he was hobbling up and down the court, and I know he's had knee issues all year, off and on. Obviously, that's not a new thing, and so hopefully the break can help him out a little bit. But I would be concerned if he is at least not decent. And then Marcus Smart's going to be chasing Steph Curry around. So if that ankle's not good, that could potentially be an issue as well. So
Look out. Yeah.
Anything else? What did you guys think coming out of the conference finals?
For that, if you want me to start, I would say that on the Western Conference side, I wish the Suns were in the Western Conference Finals. I think that's the Western Conference Finals that we deserve. But we saw Golden State just click through, right? Like they haven't really been tested for the past month and a half, right? Like they haven't really had a must-win game. So impressive start to finish, I'd say. There's a good reason why they're favored here. They have home court. They have all the pedigree. This is their 6th NBA Finals now, right? Probably 4th without KD. So cruise through. For the Celtics, I'll say, Tasty, we were on them for the past, 3 months now, 2.5 or so months. We have a 22-1 ticket. I'd be a liar if I said that I thought that they'd be in this spot right now. I thought that as we bet it in March, it was okay, good team, but let's see what happens. I think the Heat have a better shot. Sixers, let's see what happens with Harden. And then as we got to the playoffs, I said, Nets and Celtics, first round, I was whoever wins this series, I think is going to be the odds-on fave to get there. They've not been cruising as much as the Dubs, but they've gone to 7 games twice. They've grinded through all the injuries and the COVID concerns. So the 2 best teams, I think, are here. And now I think that we just got to figure out how the hell to bet this series in this game 1, guys. It's tough.
Yeah. Pig, what about you, man? Anything coming out of the conference finals for you?
Yeah, I didn't have the same confidence in the Celtics as you guys did. Not that I ever expected. Obviously, I think I can agree with what D-Nice said. I mean, I would agree once the winner of Brooklyn-Boston was announced, I think that was probably going to be the odds-on favorite to win the East. Now, I won't run away from what I said the first time we got on. I still think I thought Miami. I've been on the Miami train for a couple months now. I just thought they were deep, but hey, they're gone. So no reason to talk about
one Jimmy Butler pull up 3, and you could be victory lapping, my man.
That's it. Exactly. 1-3, and Celtics could not even be here. But getting into the conference final, I mean, from Dallas and Golden State, what I took really was that just too much for Luka to carry offensively. I think it just kind of really just wore on the guy. I really think it could have been a 4-0 sweep, honestly. But I think it was game 4 is when Dallas decided to go crazy. They shot 48% from the field. I mean, 50 from the field and 50 from 3, or 51 from 3. So I mean, round numbers, 48, 49%. So that was the only kind of shot that they had really to hold Golden State down. The other thing that I really noticed from the conference finals was Kerr. I'm not a real big Steve Kerr backer.
No, okay,
he does have, I I like his initial game plan. Now, I will say he's grown on me, and that's all I'll get into my next point. His defensive schemes have really grown on me. The guy I thought played the whole series really of Dallas smartly. Anytime they kind of got in trouble, he really was smart to kind of go to the zone. We even saw a little boxing one, some middle school basketball being played every now and then. So definitely was kind of encouraged to see that they had a little more to throw out there. I think most people would say Boston's the better defensive team, but if you look at a lot of categories, Golden State's right behind them. Lastly, just to kind of not ramble too much on that series, I just think Kerr really found something that he can dig in with Bielitsa. I think that last game, him getting 21 minutes. Now, is he going to be the star? Is he going to score? No. But just some more bodies to throw at Robert Williams and Horford, I think is going to be key for them. I think it's going to be tough for Looney and Draymond to handle the ship on their own. So just getting that extra body, maybe even, going down the list if Toscana gets in the lineup, just some depth that they really kind of figured out there. So that's really what I took from that side. The other series, like I kind of already just mentioned it, Boston, Miami, I did favor, Miami in the series, but there's not too much for me to take from that series. And here's why. I mean, just crazy outliers for me in that series. I mean, one, you just had some crazy runs. I'm about to go over them here in a second here. But two, just I think overall injuries really kind of claimed that series. Yeah. Miami towards the end of it, no hero. I just had no options. I mean, I think we all can respect Max Strus and some of those guys. But if that's who you're relying to be on your number 2 score, I mean, Bam had his moment there. But that's really what they were relying on is Butler and then whatever they could kick out to threes to kind of get back more to some of those runs here, just not to spend too much time. But game 1, you had a 44-14 run for Miami in the second quarter. Also highlighted. That's
insane. Just think about that.
Just think about that. Also highlighted, no Horford, no Smart. So that kind of plays back into the injuries that I was saying. Game 2, you have a 60-21 run for Boston to start the game. And once again, I already mentioned it, 50% from the field, including threes, and 19 points from Grant Williams. I don't expect that to happen too often.
That's an outlier game.
Game 3, you start off with a 46-20 run for Miami to open the game. Boston shoves it right back to him, 57-33 run to close out the second, halfway from the second to the end of the third. Of course, Hero and Butler also injured in that game. Butler did not come back for the rest of the game there. Hero, of course, missed the rest of the series. You get into game 4. You open the game up with a 29-18 first quarter run for Boston. Miami misses 15 of their first 16 shots of the game. They close the game out at 33% from the field. Game 5, second half, Boston outscores Miami 24-2 to start the half and 14-2 to start the fourth quarter. So hopefully that wasn't too much and too much rambling, but just too much up and down, too much roller coaster from me. And with the injuries, I don't know what to take from Boston from that series. It's been said if Butler hits a 3 at the end of game 7, they might not even be here. I'll shut up about that.
Yeah. So totally. How about that? Yeah. Two quick things. One, can we please space out the conference final games of do we need 2 days in between? No, probably 3 for at least a few of the games. There's so many injuries. The Heat had the entire roster on the list. It was all right, at some point, just space it out a bit because you've guys going in so hobbled. It's just pretty ridiculous. But it was just a grind of a 7-game series, completely different in the East compared to the West. But is the better team there? It was a coin flip, and here we are. But please, in future years, space them out a little bit, right?
Well, I think it was the injuries, but also I think those teams were just more evenly matched as well in general. I really don't. I think Pig, you kind of said this, but I just don't know that Dallas is great. I mean, Luka's great. And if they get some good shooting from their 3-point shooters, they can have a good offensive game. Jalen Brunson's coming along. It's not like they don't have anybody, but I just think the talent disparity was so much wider in that series than the Heat and the Celtics, and the injuries definitely accentuated that. So
the only other thing I'd say, the other part that I left out there as far as my conference finals takeaways, maybe just playoff final takeaways there, is I think a lot of people are saying, Golden State had the easier path, and of course, the record shows that, and I won't disagree that I think they had the easier path, but I think a lot is being made of that path in the East. Now, not to talk out of both sides of my mouth, because we've said the winner of that Brooklyn-Boston was probably going to win it all, but Brooklyn was still trying to figure it out there. They had some lineup issues themselves. I don't think the ball handling duties were really broken up well between Irving and Harden. I think that was kind of a mix. You get into the next round there for Boston. On one whom I blank. They played in the second round. Sorry.
Oh, Milwaukee.
Thank you. Sorry. No Middleton
against the Bucks. Yeah.
No Middleton, and they still pushed you to 7. I mean, it pretty much was Giannis, and that's it. And he pushed him to 7 there. Then you get to the last series. We don't need to harp on it. A lot of injuries there as well. So yes, they may have had the harder, tougher path, but I really think there's some unknowns, and they really truly haven't been tested to where you could say Golden State at least has played different styles of ball in different rounds. I think they've shown they can play at a fast pace and a half court game. And where I want to kind of finish this up with is I think Boston has pretty much only shown they can play defense and offense in a half court game. And that's where they excel. Anytime Miami pressed the pace, Boston started to turn the ball over and just wasn't efficient offensively. So I think pace is really what I took from the Western and Eastern Conference Finals. And I think that's what's going to dictate this series as well. That's what I want to say.
Great. Well, so from there, talking about the pace for this series, let's move on and talk some about this series matchups, what we think overall, and eventually get into any series bets we think too. One thing that I'm going to say, just sort of big picture, and I know that you guys probably have some ways you want to dive into some more granular stuff, which will be important. When I think about this series big picture, I think the thing that scares me as someone who has a Boston ticket is when I think about a team that can just go off offensively and like come back from a deficit. Like I can imagine tonight, and D and I were talking about this earlier, I can imagine Boston going up in the first half. I can imagine that happening in multiple games. But if you told me there's a team that has the ability to score 35 points in a quarter and just like take over a game that otherwise has been close, to me, that's the Warriors. They have so much shooting. They have so much offensive firepower. Now, I do respect the Celtics defense a lot, so I don't expect the Warriors to just go buck wild across every game. But the problem for me is I think the Warriors only have to go buck wild for stretches, right. 6, 7, 8 minutes.
Threes are worth more than twos.
Yeah, they can erase leads that Boston has taken a long time to build up. So, and I'm not even saying I'm going Warriors for sure, but just saying that is a factor to me that makes me a little concerned for Boston, is that ability of the Warriors to score quickly.
It's a huge
Pig,
concern.
What's something you're looking at that seems big to you, man?
Honestly, I think you just kind of hit the nail on the head there. I'll kind of go back to the pace. I really think, that's what I highlighted and circled a couple different times here on my pace. Once again, Nets, Milwaukee, Miami are all half-court teams, and they were still able to go on these runs like you're talking about there. And Boston also showed some spurts where offensively they just really couldn't score. So that kind of is what concerns me maybe a little bit rolling into this series. Let's just say Tatum and Brown both just aren't getting off, or maybe they're both having okay games. I would trust the Celtics, I would trust the Warriors extras or others to be able to kind of withstand that with Poole and with Wiggins, more so than what the Boston team can do. I really think a lot of how they go is really going to depend on Tatum and Brown. I think Brown probably is really the key to this series, honestly, for them personally. I think he's the biggest matchup nightmare. Klay Thompson still coming off the injuries, maybe still not 100%, maybe not quick of foot there to kind of, defend him. And then also, you're going to back that up with Poole, who's probably not the best defender in his own right. So I definitely feel that that matchup right there is going to be, something that Boston heavily relies on there. Next, I would definitely say, Robert Williams, has to be the key here for Boston to kind of really put pressure on Golden State. Golden State can rebound, guys. I know a lot of people are talking about the interior depth of Boston and Williams, but Golden State rebounds as a team, and that gets me right into my next point. And the other key, I think Anthony Wiggins is a big time key in this series for a few reasons. Him and Poole 1A, 1B, but 1A for Wiggins. One, just that bona fide score if you take Klay or Steph off the court. But two, the guy is second in rebounds for the Golden State Warriors right now. I don't know if that's in the playoffs. That is second in the playoffs, averaging 7.2 rebounds a game, and they're second.
He's been really impressive, impressive.
So they're gonna crash the boards with some aggressiveness, with some ferocity. So I really think that Wiggins is really going to be key here for Golden State, and Jaylen Brown on the other side for Boston. I think those are the kind of the key matchups here that they're both going to attempt to exploit. Of course, Golden State, it all starts with Steph and Draymond and that pick and switch, and it also creates, other cutters to the basket and stuff like that. But if you're saying what's going to be the line in the sand, I think Wiggins. I think Wiggins is the decider for Golden State in the series, and Jaylen Brown is the decider for Boston in the series.
What do you think, D?
I think that I agree as well there that the X factor on the Warriors side, I think, is Wiggins. He's been really good. Like, I didn't think that he should have been an all-star this year, but in the playoffs here, he's been coming up clutch. Clay has been all right? Like, that you'll get like 1 to 2 pretty good games out of him. But when he's locked down, he's not hitting all of his shots. You need to have a guy like Wiggins. He's been pretty damn good. I'm about to take the over 24.5 points and rebounds and assists on him tonight, which is kind of jumping the gun. But I think I like that look here. I am really torn, and that's why I kind of want to pick your brain in terms of like who you see taking this. I know that I have the 22-1 with the Celtics. I don't feel super confident in it because, like you said, that the Dubs are just a team that, like, if they get hot, good luck. And have the Celtics seen that yet? They haven't seen it with Miami at all because of all the injuries. Like, if you don't play half the series with a Tyler Hero, you're not playing a high-powered offense. You didn't have that with the Nets at all. It just didn't happen. And then against the Bucks, you were lacking Chris Middleton, who's a really important piece of that series as well. So the Celtics really haven't had to have that onslaught. The flip side of that is that they have a really good defense. The perimeter D is extremely good as well. So I'm really interested to see how that plays out. It's not Klay Thompson from 2018 to 2017 time period, but you got a bunch of guys that can ball. And to Pig's point, the Warriors can rebound, actually, and they can play some pretty damn good defense. So, like, you shake it all up, and it's like, where do we come out with this? And if I had a lean, I'd say it's the Dubs in a longer series. Don't think it's like 5 games or anything like that. But you shake it all out. The C's don't have that experience either. Will they have some jitters tonight? We'll see. That's kind of where I'm at. Dubs in a long series. So how do you see this going, Tasty?
I'm leaning the other way, and it might be wishful thinking.
You can swing me back. Like I'm right there, like teetering.
Yeah. So I mean, number one, I'm really hopeful that this is actually going to be a good series. We've had
please give us good basketball because it's just been blowouts.
Series was just a shit show, honestly. Like I didn't even enjoy watching the games for the most part. So number one, as an NBA fan, I hope it's a good series. I will say I think that Boston does have some mismatches if they're healthy. And I think one of the keys for me is going to be Marcus Smart offensively, because I think Jason Tatum is too tall and athletic for anyone on the Warriors to just shut him down. I know Draymond Green is a great defender, but I think they're going to have to try to get the ball out of his hands. Now, Jason Tatum sometimes shows up and sometimes he fades to the background. We're going to see in these finals if he steps up and wants to be like us in the superstar category. Maybe he's there, whatever, but debatable. But I think that it's possible Marcus Smart is going to get open looks in this series because I don't think they're probably going to respect his shooting very much. And there are times where he can get hot enough to knock those shots down. And I think if he does that, that could be a real key for the Celtics, because Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, I think you can take them away enough. The Warriors can defensively through scheme and stuff that somebody else has to show up offensively. And I'm not sure. I mean, Derek White has a little bit, but Horford has a little bit. And I think Horford could play another good role in this series as well. But I'm just not sure who else that's going to be. Now, I do think that the Celtics match up pretty well defensively, especially if Williams can stay healthy. Because if Williams can clog up the inside and provide some of that rim protection, I think it allows the Celtics to stay home and be out on those perimeter shooters and not allow them to get easy looks. And so I think it's going to be tenuous. Like what I said earlier, I do think the Warriors have that capability to go on offensive bursts, and that scares me. So I've been leaning Celtics in 6. Actually, I don't know that I love the Celtics going to the Warriors for Game 7. However, the Celtics have been fine away from home. Like home court advantage hasn't done them any favors in the playoffs this year, so I wouldn't count them out to be able to win a Game 7. But so yeah, I'm leaning Celtics in 6 or 7. I think they have the capability to do it. But
what kind of a price so can you get on season 6? Like, is that like a plus 450? Is that like a plus something?
I had it pulled up earlier, but I don't got it right now. All I remember right now off the top is that, of course, it makes sense. But Celtics, as a series price, are higher price to win in 6 than they are in 7. So basically, the books are saying if this goes 7, that it's favoring Golden State, but anything short favors Boston. But I can't remember the line, honestly.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it here right now.
No, it's all good. Yeah, it's all good.
I should have had it pulled up. I have Game 1 stuff pulled up, but I don't have
So it's no longer 2-3-2, right? It's 2-2-1-1-1. Changed it back a few years back.
Yeah,
like 5 years ago.
2-2-1-1.
Okay. So then Game 6 would be in Boston. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then back.
All right.
Back
All right.
All right. What else do you guys have series wise?
For the series,
to me, Pig. Give it to me, man.
Yeah, for the series, man, I'm gonna straddle the fence here, and I know that's not what maybe some of the viewers want to hear, but I don't have a side really in this. But I like what D Nice just hit on. I think the series goes 6 games. I don't think it goes 7.
Okay.
Not that it's gonna be blowout, bad series by either team. I just feel once we get to games 5 and 6, one of the teams is going to be able to kind of force their style of play on the other.
Okay.
And personally, I can lean right into tonight's pick and all that. But personally, I feel in 5, 6, 7 games that Golden State is more likely to push the pace. I just can't see Boston being able to put the clamps down on them for the entire series. Like for a game or two, certainly. But I really have a hard time seeing Boston shutting them down. And that's the only way I think they can win. I just don't see Boston getting in a shootout with Golden State and winning 127, 124, that's probably high for playoffs, but 110, 108. I just really don't see that. I see it being if they're going to win, it's going to be 102-98, 102-101, that kind of a series. So I do lean Golden State in this year. I guess I'm not straddling the fence completely, but I wouldn't play the bet on it. I would rather place my money on the series to go 6 games. I think either one is going to get it done in 6.
That's plus 170, at least at BetMGM, by the way. 6 games.
To go exactly 6 games plus 170.
Yeah, it's plus 400 on both sides to be 4-2. So it's probably actually better odds if you bet both
split it.
Yeah, because then you get a plus 200.
Then you get a plus. Yeah, no, that's
so like plus 200.
I just said that. Right? I would much rather do that. I think this is a 4-2 series for someone. As far as we get into series predictions, game 1 prediction. I mean, I kind of fall back on what I said earlier. I'm just not. There's too many question marks for me. That's the reason why I'm straddling the fence. Brooklyn, once again, still trying to figure it out. Milwaukee, no Middleton. It was just, all they really had to do was make Giannis and someone else beat them. Miami, too many injuries, too much piled up. So I kind of still have some questions there for Boston. Golden State, you could say the same. Joker, and that was it. Memphis, Ja got hurt. Game 3, game 4.
Right. Yeah.
So that's something you got to take into account. Dallas, I think Big T already touched on that. They're just too reliant on Luka right now, just too young, not enough firepower to stay up with Golden State. That's going to lead me into game 1. I am rolling Golden State minus 3.5. Just really some strong trends that kind of really pushed me over the edge there. So you got the Celtics in the playoffs are 0-3 ATS in game 1. Game 1. For the last 21 seasons. I went back deep on this one. Dogs in game 1 are 4-17 against the number.
Dude, are they really? 4-17 against
4-17
in game 1?
In game 1. Dogs less than double digits, so 10 or less, 1-16 ATS in the last 17 of that span. Dogs with a rest disadvantage 0-6 ATS in the last
Wow.
6 heading into game 1.
Wow.
Celtics on the year are 12-11 against the number as the less rested team. So not so great against the number there. Then we flip on over to Golden State. Last pretty much 7 years or so, the home team, game 1, 6-1 versus the number. Golden State is 4 of those 6, 4-0 in game 1 out of the last 7 years. If we go back to 2018-19 series, 7-3 home favorites. 7-3 ATS against the number for a series that ends early. In this case, Golden State paired up versus a team this series that went 7-3 versus the number to the favorites there. Then I finished it up with Kerr because this is kind of what locked it in for me because, like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan of his. In his career, he's 9-2 against the number in the playoffs as a single-digit spread favorite. And game 1 as a home team, 6-1 against the number and an average margin of victory of 14.6 points since he's been a head coach. Give me Golden State game 1 -3.5. I see it is up to 4 now. I locked in a little early. I wouldn't hate it at 4, but definitely I would like to get that 3.5 number if you can.
So Tasty, that doesn't make me feel very good about our Celtics bets right now. just pig dropping the wood right there.
He really is.
Now you can't combat all that though with Celtics coming off. Obviously they're not coming off a loss in this series, but coming off losses, we all know. I think they're 9-1 coming off a loss. If they lose tonight, it doesn't mean it's exactly over for you guys. But a lot of trends in game 1 are pointing towards the Warriors to get it done at home and cover.
That's interesting because in my mind, I'm just trying to think back of like all the Warriors NBA finals. I know that the Cavs covered a couple game 1s, I think, right? Like the famous J.R. Smith game, that was a game 1, right?
Correct.
I'm thinking back to 2016 before they got even Kyrie. Maybe the Cavs covered in game 2, but that's tough to beat there. But for the series, I of course have the Celtics at 22-1. Haven't done anything else. In terms of the prices, I do like that 6-game bet for the +200. You can straddle the two sides at +400 each and do the +200. I don't hate that. I did do something which I thought was mildly attractive. Most rebounds in this series is Al Horford. It was at +150 earlier. It's down to +135 now. Looney is favored to have the most rebounds. Actually, now it's tied at +135. Looney's favored. He grabbed a bunch of boards in that Dallas series. I'm thinking maybe if he doesn't get as many play, if he's not on the court as much, say that they go a little bit smaller. Horford's always out there. I think he had a 43-minute game, and he did miss game 1, of course, like last round. So I do have that at +135 for Horford, and I can wait on all the other game 1 plays.
No, give us your game 1 stuff, man.
Go for it.
Get into it.
Okay. For game 1, I've got Celtics first half on the money line at +124. The thought process there is that, and Pig probably won't love this, but for the +124, it's like, all right, they've been pretty damn good on the road. I think they're 7-2 against the spread on the road so far in the playoffs.
Won 3 road games in Miami.
Yeah, so they've had that going on. Dubs, if they're a little bit rusty, they don't have a lot of urgency in the beginning. Of course, we know that Kerr and all the adjustments at halftime, they'll come out firing in the third quarter. So that's what led me to Celtics +124 there. I have Tasty. I was telling you about this before we went live. Horford to have more points. It's a bit juicy. Horford to have more points than Draymond Green tonight, -160. I think that the floor on that is really low. Like you could have like a Horford 9-point game and a Draymond game that's in that like 7 to 8 range. On the flip side, you could have a Horford game where he's scoring 18 points and Dre's got like 4. So I hit that. It's a little bit juicy. Tatum, I have it over 7.5 rebounds. He's been going over pretty consistently on that rebound mark recently. The last time they played in March, he grabbed 12 of them. He's been pretty damn aggressive. So I do like that. 7.5. And I think that's all I got for tonight's prop so far.
Okay.
The only thing I would just throw in there, I'm not hating that first half at all. I totally get the reasoning behind it. The only thing I would throw in there is I might favor the first quarter over the first half. And I totally get it. The rest versus rust. We can all sit here and debate.
Yeah, sure.
But I think my only counterpoint to the rest versus rust thing is I think Golden State Golden State is coming out with some pressure. They can't lose game one. I'm having trouble getting it out personally there, but I think they know that as well. Now that could also, make them shoot a little tight, make them, rims get a little tighter when you got some pressure on you. But I just think they know that, losing even one of these here is going to make it pretty tough. I mean, it's very well likely to happen. Boston is that talented, but I think game one, they come out with some extra added energy. And if they did lose one, it would be game two because they kind of maybe a little relaxed, a little fat and happy after getting the game one victory and cover there. But that's all. And then the only other thing I would say is the only reason what kind of made me push towards the first quarter pushed me towards Golden State was last time they played, Golden State was -1 favorite. Boston won 110-88. Now this was regular season. I like to watch and listen to other few podcasts, and everybody knows the Sharky there, and he likes to use line functionality. Well, if they were a 1.5 point favorite and lost by 22, and now the books open up as a 3.5 point favorite, I think that's showing some strong line functionality towards Golden State in this one.
Man, bringing in line functionality to be
I know
line functionality is just mind blowing.
I haven't actually ever heard that.
I stole that
before.
Shark.
All right, I'm gonna have to go educate myself after this on line functionality. That's a new one for me. So, but it sounds awesome.
It could just be a talking point, but if you look into it, it makes sense. It does add up there. I mean, books are obviously not giving out free money. We all know that.
Yes, you are. I do think that looking at the lines and stuff, I mean, certainly the books know what they're doing. And so I think respecting the lines in the market is incredibly important. So I'm going to just throw in a couple things that I did. I don't have any large bets on this game. I feel like I feel so unsure of how this series will start out. Partly what you said, the rest versus rust, all that bullshit that we come up with, but the stats you gave are super strong. You got me probably thinking Warriors full game is a good bet.
That's kind of where I'm at now, after listening to Pig.
yeah, totally. So I did kind of combine what you guys said though, and I took halftime, full-time Celtics Warriors at plus 450. So it's Celtics to win the first half and then Warriors to win the game. I just felt like plus 450 is a good line. So, I just did half a unit on that. And then I'm also actually looking at Marcus Smart threes. And that goes back to what I said earlier about the Warriors potentially trying to get the ball out of the hands of Tatum and Brown, and that leaving some shots open for Smart. I think part of me hopes too that if he is injured, that maybe he comes into this game with a little bit extra juice since they got a few days off. And he can get hot at times. If you go look at his 3-point shoot, I mean, he can totally suck. But he sometimes gets that 6, 7, 8 attempts, and his threes are over 2.5 at plus 110. The reason I'm hesitating is I looked earlier and I didn't pull the trigger, and it was plus 122. So now I'm like, dang it, I've lost some. Lost a little something there, but that's another thing that I'm looking at for this.
I think you made a good point there, though, because I did look that up this morning. I like that first half Celtics full game. Golden State in the playoffs is averaging 54.1 points in the first half, averaging 60.2 in the second.
Wow!
So definitely, and of course, we all know about the third quarter runs that they go.
Quarter, that's right.
Quarter. So I definitely don't hate that at all. I mean, I don't think we're gonna make the decision tonight for anyone. I think they've pretty much already set in their ways. We're just kind of giving our takes, our feels on the game. I don't think there's one way to really slice or peel this onion. It's going to be a great series. There's the other thing to kind of back up. Sorry, I keep bouncing around, but you keep throwing some good points out there. I agree with Marcus Smart as having a better series or being key here. I think Golden State's going to try to jump over a bunch of those screens and kind of really force the ball out of Brown and Tatum's hand. And who's it going to leave wide open over in the corner there? Marcus Smart or someone like that. So
Horford, maybe.
Or Horford even. But I really see Golden State pushing
too.
through. Golden State does not want to play the pick and switch game. They're going to attack Poole and Steph. So I think they really try to fight over top of the screens and open up some shots. And that could be benefiting Marcus Smart there.
Yeah, totally. And
speaking of the third quarter line, just real quick, the spread on third quarter line is Golden State by 1.5. So if you want to get involved with the third quarter line, you think that they make those adjustments. I kind of like that. If I'm taking the Celtics in the first half, just hope that it's close, even if they don't win the first half. And the Warriors have those adjustments. They come out fire and cover 1.5 in the third quarter. Not a bad look. I might add that actually.
Well, and if the Celtics have the lead going into halftime, that line's going to be wider than
that's going to be a 3.5
go the other way too.
Perhaps,
but
right? Yeah.
If the Celtics are up 5, it's going to be Golden State minus 5.5 or something in the third quarter. You know,
but it'll be an inflated number for sure. Yeah. So I might add that right now, actually.
The other thing I'll throw out there, I'm not going to add this yet. I know we don't have a lot of time before the game starts. I'm going to go just look at a couple stats before I would, but. For Horford threes is the other one who could potentially be kind of open in the corner. Over 1.5 is plus 100 for him. So
don't hate it. Yeah, don't hate that at all. No,
you know, between Horford and Smart, I'll probably end up on at least on one of those at least.
He'll see plenty of minutes, man. Like he'll see at least 36 minutes or so. Horford.
Yeah.
I
was just looking up for the playoffs.
Yeah. He's had some games where he's knocking down threes. Now, he didn't make any threes on his time with the Sixers. I'm a Sixers fan. He was awful in the Sixers, but now all of a sudden he's home in Boston and he's making all those threes. I don't hate that. I don't hate that Wiggins bet either. Like you could go Wiggins over under points. I'm not sure exactly what that's at. Is that like in the 15.5 range? But points, rebounds, assists. I mean, he's been balling, man. Like he's a key player on that team. 24.5, I think is a very agreeable and attainable figure for Wiggins to get at tonight.
He's averaging 18.6 in the points in the playoffs and 7 rebounds. I mean, that's not even getting into assists. I mean,
exactly right.
There's 25 right there. I was even just going to kind of say, unless the assists, you know, if it's a standard number, then I love the PRA. If for some reason the assist is like at 3 or 4, just something stupid, then you know maybe just cut it to the points and rebounds because I think you might get maybe a little better number there. But if you know if the price is better with 2 assists or whatever it may come up, then definitely go PRA.
Yep.
All right, fellas. So obviously, the Warriors are a new team, but I looked up Smart and Horford on the 3. I went Smart. Listen to these 3-point attempts in the playoffs. 10-9, 3-4, 12-6, 9-5. Like
higher than I would have expected, actually.
Yeah,
over half of his games.
I never expected to hear a 12 any of those games.
A 12. I'm pretty sure I watched half of these games at least.
Yeah. In the last 8 games, he's been at 9 or more half the time.
And what's his over/under 3-point total at?
Plus 112 on FanDuel, over 2.5.
Over 2.5.
And he's shot terrible. He's got a 1 for 9 in there.
What's his total points? Because he has to hit that. There's 3. There's 9 points.
Yep. Let me flip over to points here.
Yep, I can help out.
Because I can see him getting a few point back.
Over 14.5 is minus 116. So, I mean, if he hits 3 threes, you're already at 9. So you'd only need 6 more points.
Yeah, I'm not smart enough to calculate that to know which one's the better value. You're going to lean on you.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Yeah.
For some reason, I get drawn toward those 3-point props. I don't know why, but
yeah, I mean, there has to be someone that's knocking down threes tonight because you know that Golden State is not going to go out and put up like a 92 spot tonight. Like it's possible, of course, but someone's going to have to be hitting threes. Tatum's threes, I think, is at over under 3.5. I'm not going to take that. That 2.5 number at the plus money, I do like. It's plus 110 at DraftKings. You said plus 112 at FanDuel.
112 at FanDuel.
Only because we're looking at. I don't know how much run he's going to get because his defense is such a liability. But what's Pritchard's threes at?
Oh,
that's Pritchard. A good point.
Let me see if they even have it.
It's just his minutes are maybe a little.
FanDuel doesn't even have it.
But if he just even has, I mean, because of those limits, the number might be low too. So you might be able to sneak some value.
Here's the other one, man. Derek White is over 1.5 plus 164.
Oh,
I mean, like,
well, his shooting actually has been shit.
But
his defense has been spectacular, but he's been very up or down on the offensive side. So I guess, but still, you only got to make 2. That's not
just got to make 2. Pritchard's not offered on DraftKings either.
Wiggins.
Yeah, that probably is for a reason. I'm sure there's got to be a book.
I mean, because
I could scroll through Bovada, but that would take too long.
You got to imagine it can't be more than 1.5 for Pritchard. I mean, and he's only shooting. That guy ain't going to the bucket. He's only shooting threes. So if the value's there, I mean, but once again, he's going to be limited because of the defensive side. I don't think he's going to get too much run in this series here. Unless
Klay
the Golden State
Thompson's
just
at
goes
3.5.
small.
So how do
So
we
many
feel about
things.
Klay at 3.5? I'm avoiding Klay Thompson just because I don't think he's Klay from 5 years ago. He's had some games where he's hit 6 threes. I'm kind of avoiding that, but he's at over under 3.5. The over's juiced at plus 105 on Klay.
I agree. He's got the name Game 6 Klay for a reason. I wouldn't
Game
touch
6
him
Klay.
I wouldn't touch him till later in the. I mean, he just for some reason it seems like it takes him a few games to get going. I mean, in all of the series, I mean, even last series he didn't really even get going until 5, 6, and then like Game 6 he did Game 6 Klay again. But and I think it was the same against Memphis, if I'm not mistaken. He only had 2 great games, and they were like 5 and 6 in that series as well. So for some reason, I don't know if it's just the injuries and he's just still not fully back together. It takes him a minute, but yeah, I would hold off on him till later in the series there.
Curious what his over under point average is for the series. I could have sworn I saw like an 18.5, 19.5, and I'd actually lean towards the under if you can get like a 19.5, 20, but
Agreed.
way too lazy to
on
look
who
that
did-
up right
who
now.
is this?
For Klay.
For Klay. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
With how much Golden State spreads the ball, with the 2 lineups that they're going to throw out there, the death roster, death lineup, and then I would take under on Klay probably throughout the series. There,
Klay's also going to have 4 threes in one quarter this series. Like he's going to have one quarter where he goes off sometime.
correct.
That's the thing. Like if you
So,
do bet like an
when are we
under
gonna
on
do
his
it?
average points, he could have a game where or a quarter, 2 quarters where he goes off. He drops a 42
It'll be in a
spot,
quarter.
and then he ruins your average. Yeah. So
Yeah, when he scored 40 in a quarter, 40 and a half. I mean, this is when he was in his prime.
oh, it was
But
37 in one quarter.
He'll get
Right?
hot.
there you
man.
go, 37 and a quarter. I knew it was
He'll
some
get
crazy,
hot,
stupid
so.
ass number.
Well, fellas, we're like a little over 10 minutes out from game time, so we're going to wrap this up. But last shots, D, any last thoughts before we go watch the game?
Last thoughts is please Celtics look good enough to make me think that the 22-1 is in play.
Is alive.
And I think I think that I'll be looking at the live totals. I love to bet live lines on the over-unders, especially. I'll be in that market for sure. I think that we'll be able to take a lot of good takeaways from this game 1, so we can come back and talk in game 2 and see what happens. But I came into this on the fence a little bit, hoping for the Celtics. Pig laid out a bunch of good points, leaning dubs in the series. I'm not going to lie.
All right, Pig, how about you?
Yeah, no, I think I think I kind of hope for the same. I just hope we get some great basketball either way. I mean, I think we all can say that no one's putting life-changing money on any of these games or any of this series here. We're all
It's not worth it because these lines are so sharp.
Exactly, man. This should be the sharpest series. This should be the best series. I don't know if you can. I guess you can make the claim these are the 2 best teams in the league if you want to say that. I mean, I think you could split some onions both ways for that. So I really expect a good series there. I just kind of want to see some good basketball. I don't really have too much more to add. Like I said, I do semi-lean towards the Warriors, but not so much what everybody else is saying. Not the history, not because they have the championship pedigree. I just really think it comes back down to they'll be able to crash the boards more than people think, and I think the pace that they're going to push is going to be tough for Boston to play with for 6-7 games. So lean Golden State in the series, and definitely 1 unit on them tonight, -3.5.
I like it, man. So parting shots for me. I've had the picks scrolling at the bottom there. If I have the time, I will throw them on Twitter, but we only have 10 minutes, so I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, everybody get some refreshments. Get ready for the game.
That's right. Hopefully everybody's already done it, but if you have not, at Sir Wager Rager on Twitter is D Nice. Please go follow him at pig_vig. If you don't follow him, I'm just going to be pissed at you guys. You got to go follow these guys. And I got my Twitter handle on there because I'm that much of a beggar for follows or something. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but
smart to do that though. Smart to do that because I don't have a Twitter handle that has D Nice in it, so I should just put that on there.
Yeah. But also those are in the description. So if anybody's wondering, go look at the description, give these guys a follow, subscribe, like the video. Fun talking, guys. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Let's go.
Appreciate it, guys.
Let's go enjoy the basketball.
Yeah, we're gonna watch the NBA Finals. There's nothing to feel bad about, man. Let's go watch some basketball, have a good time, and let the chips fall where they lie.
That's right.
Hopefully, get some good games. Let's do it, guys. I'm pumped.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.